Hello there. Welcome back. I am glad you are listening in to the Doing What Matters podcast. My name is Teresa McCloy, and I am thrilled to host this podcast each and every week. And I am so glad that you have joined me today for another conversation about living from rest, not rush. You know, for so many of us, we are tired of the daily grind, the constant rush, and the hustle that we feel. And if you're like me, and you must be if you're listening to this podcast, you are craving something more and something that has much more meaning and that resonates with your mind and with your body and with your soul. And if that is you, then you're in the right place. I've got your back and I'm with you on the journey. I really want to bring you practical tools, inspirational stories, and expert insights into your everyday, ordinary life and help you stay on the path to what truly matters. In fact, we're on this path together. And as a believer, as a businesswoman, as someone who has decided, I want to do it different. I want to create a life that matters. And part of that for me is community. Community matters as we live from rest, not rush. We're designed to do this life together. So I just want to say thank you each and every week for being on the journey with me. And let's get started with this week's conversation. So on the podcast today, I would like to share with you something that I try to do every single year. I'll be honest with you, I didn't get it done last year due to some things that were going on personally with taking care of a friend who was walking through cancer. But this year, just yesterday, I was able to complete something that I try to do each and every year. And that is to take a whole day to plan for next year. And I want to walk you through planning for the year ahead. Now, this is not planning every single detail. What this planning exercise is about is getting as many events on your calendar as you can, as many appointments, reoccurring things that you do in your life, in your business on the calendar. So yesterday, I took my team and we took a day away. Almost everybody was there. And we took a day away. We zoomed in those who couldn't be there. And we took about 5 to 6 hours to go through next year for the business. So this particular process I'm going to talk about today was just for our business. And it doesn't matter if you work in your business online or if you're brick and mortar, whatever you do, this exercise, just this process, 4 to 5, 6 hours will be so helpful for you going forward. So here's what we did, kind of step by step, right? We took a day, I purchased a giant. And by giant, I mean giant. You can check it out on my social media. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you can see this giant 8x5 calendar, that one of those write-on wipe-offs that you can use. You can get them through, whatever place you want to. I purchased mine on Amazon. And it actually was a little bigger than it probably needed to be. But in the long run, it really is going to serve us well. Now, I purchased that and then I went in and I actually put in as many things as I could before we got together. So what I mean by that is in the business that we have here at The Process, we have community events with our certified coaches. We have the podcast that I do each and every week. We have things like retreats that we have, and we have, we went through and marked anything that I could that I knew ahead of time that was reoccurring, I put on the calendar. I put in my schedule that I know of already for next year for speaking and workshop events and those types of things that I have when I'm going to be traveling, when I'm going to be going to masterminds that I'm a part of. Anything that I knew in advance, I already had done. And what I did on the calendar is I love to color code things. So I made a key on the side of the calendar of all these different things in our business. So here's times when our office technically will be closed. This is when our team won't be working. Our team, for example, works mostly Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I have several on my team, 1099 contractors that work for me on a monthly retainer and a part of our core leadership team. And I just wanted to take the opportunity for them to say, hey, these are times that I'm going to say that the office is closed. I want that for myself and I want that for you. Because there are times when my team, probably much like your team, if you have people that work with you, do the above and beyond and do the extra. And so I want to reward them by saying, here's days that we're not going to be open, even though that would be a normal work day for us. So that was the first step. I went in and I did all that ahead of time, put it out on my dining room calendar, and just really enjoyed the big picture view. That is one of the reasons I love using one of these giant calendars. Now, I know for most of us anymore, we work in a digital calendar through Google or through Outlook and all the technology that we have. But I'm a visual person, and I've really learned that about myself in the last 4 or 5 years. And when I am getting up on the balcony of my business, I want to be able to see the whole entire big picture. And then I created like a color key on the side of the calendar that, everything around our network community of coaches was in one color. Everything around the new business that we've purchased with One Life Maps, a life mapping tool, is in another color. Anytime that we were going to have the office closed, I put a big X through those dates, and all of that is in black, all of the vacation and the travel. So I just took the 4 or 5 to 6 areas that we have. I put our marketing on there. So that's in another color. When are we going to start marketing certain things and promoting certain things? So you get the idea. So that was all on there. Then we traveled and got out of town and went to another location and laid the calendar out. And all of us gathered around with our laptops and our schedules. And we just started walking through each of those. And I just went through and asked the team, like, when do you know that you're doing your vacations? When do you know that you're going to need off? And it was just really cool to see how the calendar started to come together. So we walked through times off, vacation days, as much as we could. Now we know there's more that we will put on there. But I worked with each leader, each executive director in my team and said, let's go through what you have. And we got all of our certified cohorts that will be walking. We have 3 of them next year. We got all of those on there. We got all of the times that we want to gather in community. We double checked all of our retreat dates because we're doing one here in where I live in Effingham, Illinois, and then we're going to do one in Georgia next year. And so we needed to talk about those logistics. So you get the idea of what we ended up doing. Then we took a break, had lunch, and then we came back for about another hour and a half. And at that point, then we started talking about content. And I love how bringing those two things together. What do we want to talk about next year? What do we want to do? What is the schedule that we want to have for content, for the podcast, for the community that we're building on a new platform? I'll say more about that here at the end of the podcast for you. And just some other things, how we're bringing all of this together to serve our clients and our customers and those that we haven't reached yet well. So we spent the morning in kind of the behind the scenes, and then we spent some time after lunch in kind of then what do we want to bring externally? If you've listened to the podcast very long, you've heard me talk about those two words. And I think for us as busy entrepreneur business owners, when we can think about our business in those terms of what do I need to do internally for my team and what do I need to do externally as I market my business and talk about my business and talk about the work I'm doing out in the world, that's external. So we wanted to talk about both and get as much as we could planned out for both spaces. Now, we still have some bells and whistles to put on the last part of the content, but overall, we walked away yesterday feeling really good. I checked in with the team often throughout the day and just said, how is this? How helpful is this? And everyone was like, this is so extremely helpful. Gives the team so much confidence to move into 2024 and start preparing. We're about 6 weeks out to the end of the year here as we're recording this episode right before Thanksgiving, and we're about 6 weeks out. But for myself and for those who serve and work on our team, it's so helpful, and it just releases them to be able to live into thinking about hitting the ground running in January of 2024 with a plan. And, we'll have more details and polish to put in, but they know when things are happening. We went through the calendar and put in all of our core team meetings that we have monthly. We went in and put in the big quarterly meetings we want to have with everyone who works on our team. And so this idea that those things are already in their calendar, will we have to move a few of those things? Yes, I guarantee we will. But knowing that they're already there just gives us so much confidence to move forward. Now, here's what we'll do next. All of that is on this big write-on wipe-off board. By the way, just a little pause there. I do not use write-on wipe-off markers. I go ahead and use permanent color markers, and I will buy a new calendar next year because I just like the look and how clean it is and that it doesn't smudge and it doesn't wipe off. And I will hang this giant calendar in a place in my home. It won't be in my office. I will put it in my home office so that I can refer to it and can continue to look at it throughout the year and in each quarter that we do. So we've got the big rocks in. If you've read my book or listened to my content, you've heard me talk about my jar of pickles. And what I mean by the jar of pickles is if you were to look at the jar of pickles, there's a jar, there's pickles, there's the juice that goes around it. Doing this calendar is like putting the pickles in the jar. You want to put those in first, or it's not a jar of pickles. It is just a jar of juice, and then we go to try to put the pickles in, and they don't all fit because we've already filled it up with stuff that may not matter. Does the juice help the pickles? Absolutely. Does it make the pickles? Absolutely. Some of you even like to, you may be listening and you're like, I love to drink the pickled juice. But sometimes that's not what's going to move us forward. So we want those big pickles in the jar first. And that's what we did yesterday. We said, here are the things that we want to do in 2024 that matter. We want to have certain things in our business that matters. So I just encourage you, if you can, there is still time, get your calendar ordered, go through this exercise either for yourself or with your team. I used to do it when I was a solopreneur and the only one in my business. Get the visual out if you need that, and write in all of these things. So I started to tell you, here's what I do next. I will spend the next couple of weeks between now and the 1st of December, and I will take all of those color-coded keys one by one, and I will put them in my digital calendar. And the beauty is it will be super easy to do that because so many of them are repeatable. So I can take all of our community calls, for example, that happen on Wednesdays, and I can put it in once, put it into my Google Calendar. I love to use the Google, and put it in and set it up as a repeatable event. And it's in there. I just have to enter it once. If I'm going to have, and this is real technical, but hang with me, if I'm going to have 3 or 4 that I'm not going to have, and we have times that we do not meet for holidays and different times, I just go to that particular date and delete that one event, which is super easy to do. So I set them all up as repeatable and then go back in and delete the ones we're not going to have. It will not take me very long to put all this in the system. Then we will set up a place that we will check off the content that we created in the afternoon. And what I mean by that is we decided in the afternoon, after we got all the big rocks in internally, and then we worked on the external, which is what we're going to put out in content, we will create kind of a content calendar for that we can check off. What we did in that content planning part is decided what days of the week are we going to do certain things. The podcast always comes out on Wednesday. We want to start writing some blogs next year. Those will come out on a certain day. We want to do some live things on social media. So we decided what days and who would be responsible for those different areas. And that just felt so good. Do we know exactly what that content is going to be yet? No, we do not. That will be the next step in the process. But we have the when will it happen. So this process I'm sharing with you is really all about the when will things happen internally and externally, not necessarily what's going to happen yet, what the content is going to be. We'll walk through all of that too. We will try to get some of that done for the first quarter of the year, sometime in December, but we will probably go quarter by quarter. And so I want you to see this big picture. We've got all of the internal and external wins done. Now we'll go back quarter by quarter every 90 days. And again, if you've read the book, Do What Matters, that we put out last year, you kind of know we have a 90-day process. So we'll go back every 90 days and talk about content and a little bit deeper into the marketing. Because as your business grows and changes, things might change throughout the year that you feel is important to work with or do at an event or talk about or promote. So those things might change, but we know when we're going to do these things. And we have those times marked in our weekly and yearly calendar. So what can you take away from this? What are some actions that you'll want to take? What are some benefits? The biggest benefit is how good it feels to be out ahead of next year. How good it feels to know that all those things are in place. I know it will feel good for you as well. So I want to challenge you a little bit to use some type of big calendar to get the big picture view and see how it feels for you to get some of those big rocks in. Get the pickles in for the year. Get the pickles in the jar of next year, of 2024, and plan that out. And then I want to hear from you. I want you to either email me back or respond back to me in Facebook or wherever we're connected, and let me know how it feels for you to get those big rocks of win into your planning for 2024. You will go into the holidays, especially in the month of December, feeling so great about re-engaging back in your business. I hear from so many clients that I coach with that it's hard to get up and going again in January because you feel like you need to do this exercise if you haven't done it yet. So do it now. Mark it on your calendar when you're going to do it. Get the big calendar ordered if you're a visual person, and then begin the process of putting in the big rocks. Then let me know how it goes. Let me know how it worked for you. Let me know if you love colored markers as much as I do. And I just want to encourage you to take action on planning for 2024. Now, I mentioned, as we wrap up today on this podcast, I mentioned that I wanted to tell you about something that we're doing that we're not quite announcing everything yet and all the details. But in January, we will be launching our community in a bigger way on a brand new platform. And we talked about it yesterday. We're so excited. We can't wait to tell you more. That will be coming your way the very first part of January. But if you want to make sure you don't miss it, then I want you to go to thereallifeprocess.com/join and just drop in your name and your email. Even if you're already on our list, it won't start sending you double emails unless you use a different one to register. But that specific list will be the first to know when this new community opens, when this new platform community opens. And we have so much great content that we're going to give to you for absolutely free inside of that community. You're absolutely going to love it. If you are someone that wants to do life differently, live from rest, not rush, using some of the components and content of the real life process, the way we do it, framework that we have, we want to connect with you there for absolutely free. So thereallifeprocess.com/join. And I can't wait to see you there in 2024. Until then, keep listening to the podcast, keep tuning in with us, and remember that every ordinary day has an extraordinary moment. You just have to look for them. And I'll be back next week with more from the Doing What Matters podcast.